Every year, thousands of fans swarm into Daytona for the 2 weeks International Safety and Speed Trials sponsored by the National Association for Stock Car Racing, known as NASCAR. Families from every state come to see how cars like the ones they drive will stand up in a race. There's the flag and they're off. 76 late model stock cars in a terrific drama of durability and driving skill. A race of 160 miles on a track slightly over 4 miles. Half pavement, half sand. That's it, that loose sand on the north turn. There's going to be trouble here today. This hour and a half will deal out more punishment to the cars than 5 years of normal driving. Even to stay in the race, a car has to be rugged. Something's happened on the north turn. A bad flip in that loose sand. Not a scratch. How do you like that? Out in front, Tim Flock of Atlanta. Those tough turns. It's a wonder these drivers even managed to stay put. Uh-oh. Well, it appears that sometimes they don't stay put. But it's all in a day's work. Tim Flock still leads, and in second place now is Ralph Moody of Florida, one of Pete DePalo's boys. Now what? Moody has just flipped, but he lands upright. There goes his lead. If he can pull out of this, it'll be something. Well, how about that? And just a moment ago, it was a brand new car. Last lap, Tim Flock is still in the lead. Billy Myers is second. And well, Ralph Moody, in spite of his spill, has fought back up to third place. And there's the finish. Tim Flock. And here comes Moody. Moody, the man who came back, a winner. For NASCAR's newest feature, the circular race for convertibles, the day arrives clean and warm. A great day for racing, and all morning they come. Mr. and Mrs. America, as well as Miss America, and Junior too, with ideas of his own. All here to see the speed and safety factors of the year's new cars. Turner and Fireball Roberts, two of Pete DePalo's group, are out to win in this very first race of convertibles. And Pete, well, he's out to see that they win. These cars and every car in the race have been inspected by NASCAR officials for safety features, and the engines, after examination, have been sealed. Are equipped with roll bars because of the hazards of close car contact. Today, the open cars will let you see the driver's skill in steering. You might even learn a couple of tricks. And here they go. Off to an early lead is Joe Weatherly of Norfolk, Virginia, former motorcycle champion. 29 cars, and this 160-mile race will test them all for durability, responsiveness, acceleration, maneuverability. A terrific strain on brakes, front end, chassis, and shifting at high speed on the turns. That's a real test for any transmission. Looks as though Joe Weatherly is being pushed a bit by Curtis Turner. Kurt comes from Roanoke, Virginia, and is said to have as heavy a foot as any man in racing today. Turner is getting too close for Weatherly's comfort. And there goes Joe's lead. And now it's Curtis Curtis Turner leading the field. And here comes Fireball Roberts into third place. Say, this seems to be turning into a private race for Pete DePalo's boys. Lead or no lead, a car has to have gas. And that's what the pit is for. Only 72 seconds, and Turner is off again, still ahead of the field. He had a real lead. But he'd better step on it. Well, look who's now in second place. Fireball Roberts, with former national champion Herb Thomas holding third. So now it's nip and tuck between two pals, Curtis Turner and Fireball Roberts. Last lap, and it looks like it's going to be Turner. There goes Turner, and maybe for a record. It's Fireball Roberts second. And Herb Thomas third. What a race. Turner's time, an average of 96.11 miles per hour for 160 miles. It's a new track record.
Monaco, January 19th, 1963, and the start of the 32nd running of the Monte Carlo Rally. There, equipped with special rally lights, is a surprise U.S. entry. The car is the brand new Falcon Sprint V8, the first Falcon ever powered by a V8 engine. And will you look at that baby go? The Monte Carlo Rally is the toughest in the world, 2,500 brutal miles, 4 days and 3 nights of around-the-clock driving, a test of durability and total performance so tough that out of 296 starters, only 100 finished. Falcon not only finished, it swept its class. And on the final test section of the route, 490 miles through the Alps from Chambéry to Monaco, it beat every car, including all of the top European sports cars entered. An exciting victory for America's newest, most exciting compact. The complete line of new Falcon V8s will be at your Ford dealers February 22nd, including new hardtops with a racy scat-back roofline. And in the Sprint, a rally-type steering wheel, a tachometer, bucket seats, an optional 4-speed stick shift, wire wheel covers, and a chrome-dressed engine. See the Falcon Sprint V8 and the other 63.5 Command Performance cars, the liveliest of the lively ones from Ford.
This is the famous Daytona Speedway, only 2 weeks before the 1963 500. And out here at the track, there's only us members of the fraternity, the guys who drive and nurse these Detroit hunks of iron, all with the same idea, trying to coax and work over their equipment so it'll get to that winner's circle. And it looks like the who's who of racing has turned out for the 500 this year. There's Joe Weatherly and Freddie Lorenzen, Troy Ruttman, guys like A.J. Foyt, all real good boys. But it's teamwork that wins races, and the mechanic is the other half of the Siamese twins of the racetrack. Take Dan Gurney with his chief mechanic John Holman of Holman & Moody, famed race modifiers. Dan and John are sizing up a Ford chassis that's been modified for the 500 in line with NASCAR specs. And here's Ralph Moody, chief mechanic for Fred Lorenzen. Another top man in the business, Ray Nichols. Cotton Owens, Smokey Unick, and Bud Moore, guys who've made their names as racing mechanics on tracks across the country. The mechanic's work begins in the race shop back home, tearing down, going over every inch of the engine from valve lifters to splash pan, in the search for perfection plus. That also means choice of the right components, including spark plugs with a kind of ceramic and pressure seal that can stand up to tremendous internal pressures. It's all part of winning performance and durability, along with the mechanic's know-how in engine assembly and tune-up. Always bearing in mind, a pair of eagle eyes will be on you to see that NASCAR rules are respected. Here, for example, Glenn Wood submits his engine head for a cubic displacement measurement. The test is simple. A piece of glass seals the cylinder head cavity. Then liquid from a graduate flows in. Believe me, it had better accept no more than the right amount, or, brother, you've had it. Will it go over? I've been in the same spot, and I know how Glenn feels. Okay, Glenn, you've made it. But that's only the beginning of NASCAR's inspection. Here, a carburetor sealed after meeting specs. And here, road clearance checked. Oh, say, there's Bill Strop, chief mechanic of the Merck team with Fran Hernandez. Right now, their crew's about to stage a pit rehearsal, another mighty important job of the mechanic. Any driver will tell you how many races he's won or lost in the pits. Roger Ward, last year's Indianapolis winner, lends a hand. 30 seconds for a right side tire change and refuel jobs, only par for the course. Oh, you can fry your hands on those tires, but for Pete's sake, don't panic. If you do, you're dead. Get him in and out fast, boys, and pray. When you're playing for keeps, he don't come back too soon. Here's Tiny Lund getting set for a practice run. Tiny's a story every racing buff knows. The guy who saved Marvin Panch's life by lifting a burning car off him. A superhuman effort. Finally, it's race day for the Daytona 500. Thousands and thousands of fans have swarmed in from all over the country. Come to see, as the newspaper fellas say, a spectacle without rival, along with all the pageantry that goes with it. Well, the cars are lined up and ready to go. But man's best laid plans sometimes go astray, and racing's no exception. For as race time approached, along came an uninvited guest. Yep, you guessed it, a man-sized gale blowing in from the ocean, bringing buckets of rain and sending some 75,000 fans scooting for shelter. Rain, rain, go away. But given time, and a true race fan will wait till doomsday if need be, the weather will let up, bringing between the clouds a peak of sunshine. The crowd's back, and with the decision to start the race after a 2-hour delay, the cars themselves will dry the track. For safety's sake, the first 10 laps are run under the caution light held at 90 miles per. On the 11th lap, with the track dry and safe, the wraps are taken off, and they're away. Junior Johnson doesn't waste any time getting out in front. Right behind him is Paul Goldsmith, followed by Fred Lorenzen and Fireball Roberts, number 22, in a Pontiac. In the home stretch, it's Johnson and Goldsmith. Boy, are they burning up the track. Speeds over 166 per. On the backstretch, Goldsmith's drafting on Johnson's car. Here comes Lorenzen, number 28. Keep an eye on him. There's a smoker right in front of the stands. Lap after lap, guys back in the pack jockey for position. Uh-oh, Goldsmith's out on the 41st lap with a bad oil leak. It's A.J. Foyt in the lead with Fireball Roberts riding his windscreen. On the backstretch, Dick Petty in a 63 Plymouth battles it out with Dan Gurney driving a 63 Ford. Hey, watch out! Johnny Rutherford, number 13 in the Chevy, spins on the backstretch. The lead keeps changing hands as they roar past the stands. In fact, the lead will keep on changing as car after car goes into the pits. Here comes Fireball Roberts into the pits. Cornelli Jones, number 15 in the 63 Merc, he needs gas and oil. Meanwhile, G.C. Spencer in the 63 Chevy takes the lead. His car's number 03. In front of the stand, Spencer and Foyt put on a great show for the lead. And there they go on the turn, while right behind them come Dan Gurney and Fred Lorenzen. Now Spencer's given up the lead as he's forced into the pits. Oh, he's got company. Darrell Derringer in his 63 Merc. All through the race, the pit crews are kept busy. Here's A.J. Foyt getting gas. Rex White, 63 Chevy, steaming. Wow, look at that skid. It's Jim McGurk in a 62 Pontiac. It's Lorenzen and Bobby Johns having a private Donnybrook for the lead. Now 200 miles of the race are over at an average speed of over 140 per. Uh-oh. Dick Good, number 81, spins into the guardrail. Carnelli Jones misses him by a whisker. Oh, the crowd's getting a real thrill. A hot engine and priming the carburetor has started a fire. It's spread to the clothes of his chief mechanic, Bobby's old man. The race is past the 300-mile mark now, with Ned Jarrett and Fred Lorenzen passing the lead back and forth. On the 157th lap, Lorenzen is forced into the pits. It's Tiny Lunt now, showing his heels to the pack. Back to the wars goes Lorenzen. He's got to get his speed back. It's so late in the day, it's almost dark in the pits as Tiny comes in. And sure enough, Lorenzen's back in front with Ned Jarrett on his tail. Out of the pits comes Tiny Lund, as you can guess his intentions. Meanwhile, in the sunset, Stacy and Frank battle each other on the backstretch. Lund's running second now with Ned Jarrett trailing. But Fireball Roberts won't be beaten, not by a long shot. But it's still Lorenzen first and Lund second. Lorenzen's crew wants him in the pits. You better listen to him, Fred, even if there's only 7 laps to go. A 9-second pit stop for gas, and Lorenzen's out again. Lund's hanging on to that lead with Jarrett Clapton on. Time's crucial now. Will Lorenzen be able to get back his lead? Jarrett, on the 197th lap, he needs gas. Now, Tiny, it's up to your gas tank. Lorenzen's hot after him, though, but it's a 3-cornered race because Jarrett is back again. Lorenzen's pit crew have their fingers crossed. But it's Tiny with Lorenzen right behind. There's the white flag. Will Tiny's gas hold out? His pit crew's with him all the way. But Lorenzen and Jarrett haven't given up. Yes, sir, a duel right to the finish. And it's Tiny Lund, the long shot. Winner over Fred Lorenzen with Ned Jarrett third, all 3 driving 63 Fords. As Tiny, now out of gas, has to coast into the winner's circle. He took a big chance, but one less pit stop made the difference. Good job, Tiny. You deserved it. And I know Marvin Pants was rooting you all the way home. There's the usual ceremonies for a really bushed but happy winner. It's the first day of the time trials for this year's race, and over 250,000 race fans have crammed into the grandstands and infield of this great racing plant. Plenty of thrills and chills for them here today. Right now, the cars are lining up for the qualification runs. Most of them are the conventional Speedway Roadsters powered by the famous Meyer-Drake 4-cylinder Offenhauser engine. But the powerful Novis are back again this year. This one, number 56, will be driven by heavy-footed Jim Hurtubise. 2 others by Art Malone and Bobby Unser. But the real attraction this year is the new Lotus Ford rear engine creation. These cars are only knee-high and streamlined to the nth degree. Benson Ford, vice president of Ford Motor Company, and Ed Stroh of the Autolite division are truly proud of these new racers powered by Ford. Driver Dan Gurney and designer Colin Chapman look on as their car is prepared for the qualification run. Veteran driver Eddie Sachs welcomes Ford into this exclusive racing circle. And now, Dan Gurney in the Lotus Ford receives his final instructions from Chief Steward Harlan Fingler. The crowd's really anxious to see these Fords perform. And there he goes. Dapper Dan Vidan, official starter, has the green flag ready, and Gurney takes it. USAC officials electronically record the speed of every lap. Here he roars, or whines down the main stretch. He's completed the lap at over 149 miles per hour. And another lap at 149.353. Living up to his expectations, the crowd gives Gurney a big hand as he rolls into the pits. Average 4-lap speed qualifying time, 149.019 miles per hour. Jimmy Clark, Grand Prix driver from Scotland, is ready in his Lotus Ford number 92. The green flag is out, and Jimmy takes it. The timers clock him as he screams past the crowd and completes a lap of 150-plus miles per hour. Another lap over 149 assures Jimmy a starting position in this year's 500. Looks like J.C. Agajanian is about to ask Benson the price of these new Ford racing engines. Wholesale price, that is. And now, at last, this is the day. Band, marching feet, Majorette Golden Girl from Purdue, actor George Montgomery from Hollywood, astronaut Gordon Cooper from space, and racers from out of this world. Oh, it won't be long now. The drivers are getting ready. Goggles, handkerchiefs, cold cream. Anyway, they're ready for those famous words. The traditional balloons are released, and the cars move out. This is the pace lap, nice and easy. You're looking at more than $1 million worth of racing cars. Pace car pulls out, and they're off. Parnelli Jones grabs the lead with Jim Hurtubise right on his tail. It's Jones, Hurtubise, Bobby Marshman, and Roger Ward on the backstretch. Hurtubise is trying hard for that lead. And in the home stretch, Hurtubise passes Jones. He's in the lead. Here they come neck and neck. Jones has the inside track and takes the lead back. Wow, Bobby Unser hits the wall and is out of the race. He's getting out of his car and it's okay. Now Roger McCluskey has moved into second place. Hurtubise is passing McCluskey for second. Uh-oh, a car in trouble. It's Bud Tingelstad in car 54. He's okay. And here's a wall climber. It's Alan Crow. He's lost a wheel. Well, the crowd's getting plenty of excitement today. Jones is in for his first pit stop. McCluskey grabs the lead with Clark and Gurney close behind. Jim Clark takes second as they roar past the stands. Jones goes right out again to do battle for that lead spot. But Jim Clark and his Lotus Ford takes the lead. It's Clark first, McCluskey second, with Gurney coming up fast. The crowd's rooting for the Fords. McCluskey's in the pits. And the Lotus Fords are running 1 and 2. Jim Clark and Dan Gurney lead the race. But McCluskey's right back out to try and catch Clark and Gurney, but they're setting a torrid pace, and the crowd loves it. Here's Gurney's scheduled pit stop. The Fords run on pump gas and get good mileage. Only one pit stop is planned for the whole race. Clark's still in the lead. Eddie Sachs is trying to pass McCluskey in the backstretch. It's now the 96th lap. Clark goes in for tires and gas. Uh-oh, he stopped short of the hydraulic platform and they have to push him on. That could be expensive. Jim has been leading for 28 laps and that's a great record for a rookie driver and a rookie car. The car is real lightweight and easy on tires. This change should last the rest of the race. Look out, a spin in the pits. It's Jim McElreath. He came in pretty hot, too hot. That got him on their feet. Jones got back the lead when Clark was in the pits, but Clark is fighting his way back through the pack. A spin on the north curve. It's Eddie Johnson in car 88. Looks like he's had it. caution light is on, and Jones takes advantage of it for a pit stop. A quick tank of gas, a set of tires, and he's back out. Clark has to hold position under the yellow and can't grab the lead. But there's the green flag, and they're running hard again. T.J. Foyt and Eddie Sachs duel on the backstretch. Uh-oh, Dan Gurney's in for an unscheduled pit stop. His right front wheel is loose. Wasn't replaced tight enough. Too bad. Jones has only a 3.5-second lead over Jim Clark. There's a spin. It's Eddie Sachs. Too bad. He's been driving hard and pushing the leaders all day. They're towing him off. No, it looks like he's trying to start his engine. It started. How about that? Sachs is going back in the race. Looks like the action has moved to the stands. It's Colin Chapman. He's detected oil leaking from Jones' car and is a bit unhappy. Now there's a real rhubarb. The question whether or not to black flag Jones. But the decision keeps Jones in the race. Oh, no, it's Sachs again. He's lost a wheel. Eddie's really had it this time. Look, the wheel's still rolling. Get out of there, Eddie. Attaboy. The end is near, and it's still Jones. Can Jimmy Clark catch him? Roger McCluskey's running third. Here's the white flag. One more lap to go. Time's running out, and Providence takes over. Oh, no, McCluskey's spinning. It's the last lap, and he had third place sewed up. What a tough break. The checkered flag is out, and Parnelli Jones wins the race. Jim Clark in the Lotus Ford takes second. And here he comes, the winner, heading for victory lane, the man himself, Parnelli Jones, a deserving winner, a great driver. Average speed, 143.137 miles per hour. It's a new record for the Indianapolis 500. Congratulations, Parnelli. And you too, Jim Clark, and Roger Ward, and Don Branson, and Dan Gurney. You all turned in a great performance.
We're at Pomona, California for the 1964 NHRA Winter Nationals, one of two main annual events in drag racing in the United States. 75,000 spectators are here, and 500 competitors from all over the United States and Canada. All the top names in drag racing are here, plus a lot of novices who want to take a crack at the champions. Amateurs compete against professionals in drag racing, and the man with the best equipment, the most skill, and sometimes the most luck, wins. He isn't necessarily always from the ranks of the established champions. Nevertheless, there are established favorites whose past performances have caused them to be expected to win. Men like Len Richter, with his Ford Fairlane Thunderbolt, powered by a 427 cubic inch high riser Ford engine, in the super stock class for cars with stick shifts. Or 68-year-old Sam Perrio of the City of Industry, California, one of the grand old men of drag racing, with his Ford-powered Curtis and A modified sports car. Billy Cox is here, competing in Class A stock automatic. Later in the year, he'll switch to factory experimental cars and continue to be a big threat. And Gas Ronda is here to compete on his way to becoming World Point champion in stock cars in 1964. All the hoopla and ballyhoo of a state fair is in the air, plus all the excitement of motorsports. Miss Hurst Floorshift of the Hurst Performance Products Company graces a float in the infield. Drag racing is essentially a simple sport, driving in a straight line from a standing start for a quarter of a mile. When you're sitting behind 1,400 horsepower, nestled in a 1,300-pound car, just going straight becomes a very busy pastime. Now we're in the staging area where the cars get in line for their runs. Ronnie Sox moves up to the line. The cars are started by the Christmas tree, an anticipated start system that tells the driver when he can go and automatically disqualifies him if he starts too early. The cars are divided roughly into stock cars, sports cars, factory experimental cars, coupes and sedans, roadsters, and the out-and-out dragsters, sometimes called slingshots or rails. Special classes are set up for cars that are modified from stock mechanically, that have modified bodywork or are homemade. In addition, cars are divided by whether they run on gasoline or exotic nitrate-based fuels. And further division is made on the basis of pounds per cubic inch displacement. So classification gets complicated. There are currently 74 divisions and classes of cars competing in the United States. The other premier event in American drag racing is the Nationals, held at Indianapolis Raceway Park, Indiana. In 1964, this event drew more spectators and entrants than Pomona, with 123,000 fans watching 1,250 cars compete over the 5-day event. Indianapolis in the summertime is a picnic-like setting, and thousands of Americans at their leisure came to watch the fun. But while a drag race can seem like a social event, the real stars are the cars themselves. Every unusual and ingenious concoction of American backyard engineering seems to be here. Meticulously prepared, often on shoestring budgets, designed only after exhaustive examination of the regulations, and usually after at least a couple of years of hard-earned experience at the drag strips are accumulated. The cars take all shapes and sizes, but are aimed finally at a single goal: acceleration. The most acceleration that it is possible to achieve within the framework of the division or class in which the car runs. The goals of a drag racing builder are as single-minded as the sport itself, and the means to reach those goals are exceedingly complex. In general, the principle is to get as much power as possible to the wheels, maximum traction between the wheels and pavement, and as little superfluous weight as possible for the power to move. Thus, the builder soups his engine as much as he can within the regulations for his class. He moves everything as far back as he can to put more weight on the rear wheels for traction. And he fits the largest tires permitted at the rear to get more rubber on the ground. No starter is carried on the out-and-out dragsters. The extra weight isn't worth it in a car that is hardly going to be used for shopping. That's why you see so many of these cars being push-started. As it happens, these cars seldom travel under their own power at all, except when actually racing. Radiators aren't usually carried either. In a 10-second run, cooling isn't very important. In fact, if you realize that a dragster is seldom running except at full throttle and in as straight a line as possible, you can readily see that a lot of life's little amenities can be left off. Despite the sometimes backyard nature of some of the cars, they represent the very highest sort of engineering within their limited goals. Engine tuning techniques, for example, are as highly developed among American drag racers as anywhere in the world. In every sense of the word, the drag racers are carrying on their own basic research. The cars are moved slowly to the staging area, preparatory to making their initial runs. The drivers begin getting ready. Time trials are run to assist the drivers in getting the feel of the track surface that they will be working with and to aid last-minute tuning. Variations in temperature and humidity can mean a difference of hundredths of a second, so some changes have to be made for every race. The Indian directing traffic is Bob Beezer from Canada. A full-blooded Deseranto, he is brought to every major drag meeting in the United States by the National Hot Rod Association, not only to add color to the proceedings, but because a drag meeting has never been rained out while he was in attendance. The time trials and elimination runs go on. Everyone runs. For trophies, for cash, and for awards in equipment that consist of everything from wrenches and spark plugs to complete cars.
In sunny 78-degree weather at Riverside, California, 44 of the world's fastest stock cars wait for the start of the 6th annual Motor Trend 500. Dan Gurney owns the winning trophies in 4 out of the 5 NASCAR races run here since 1963. The tall Californian has just concluded.
Ford Grand National Stock Cars took the starter's flag Sunday at the 8th annual Motor Trend 500 at Riverside, California. Former Indy champ Parnelli Jones qualified with the fastest time, but started 35th due to a dispute with race officials over tires used in qualifying. Dan Gurney, winner of 5 previous Riverside 500s, took over the pole position, but was in the pits early and was never a threat. By lap 20, Jones had battled his way into the lead. 43,000 fans watched the frantic race action on the twisting 9-turn, 2.5-mile road course. Speeds reached 150 miles an hour on the straightaways. Still in front with 25 laps to go, Jones dropped out due to mechanical problems. A.J. Foyt then took over the lead ahead of Roger McCluskey and Leroy Yarborough. After 5 hours and 18 minutes of racing, three-time Indy 500 winner Foyt took the checkered flag in his 1970 Ford Torina Cobra. Foyt, who celebrated his 35th birthday last week, happily accepted congratulations and $19,000 for his first win of the racing season.
NASCAR's Grand National Championship Series begins in January at Riverside, California. The opener draws the top names in racing. Indy winners like A.J. Foyt and Parnelli Jones, road racer Dan Gurney, and the full NASCAR fraternity. But when the dust settles after the 1969 race, the man in victory lane is Richard Petty, giving Ford a 7th consecutive Riverside victory. The series then returns to the ovals for a 12-month, 54-race seesaw battle on everything from half-mile dirt tracks to 2.5-mile superspeedways. On the big tracks, the Fords and Mercurys dominate, taking 13 of 15 superspeedway clashes. At Daytona in February, Charlie Glotzback leads going into the final lap. He is followed by Leroy Yarborough in the white number 98 Ford. 100,000 people come to their feet as the cars enter the last turn. Leroy Yarborough wins the Daytona 500 by inches and begins a string of major victories unparalleled in the history of the sport. Cale Yarborough's Mercury Cyclone is first at Atlanta. Then it's Leroy again with back-to-back victories at Darlington and at Charlotte. Cale edges him on the last lap at Michigan International Speedway. But Leroy returns to make it 2 in a row at Daytona. And Donnie Allison on October 12th at Charlotte clinches the 7th consecutive Manufacturers' Championship for Ford. As the season draws to a close, Leroy has captured an unprecedented 6 superspeedway victories. He will go on to be named Ford's Motorsports Man of the Year, an honor shared in past seasons by drivers such as A.J. Foyt, Mario Andretti, and Cale Yarborough. But while Leroy's number 98 Ford was the car most often in victory lane on the big tracks, the Drivers' Championship was being contested between Richard Petty and defending Grand National Champion David Pearson. On October 26th in Rockingham, North Carolina, David Pearson and Richard Petty will settle their long conflict of 1969.
Well, the championship is pretty important, really. I've won it 2 years, in 64 and 67, and there was 4 or 5 of us, I think, that's won the championship twice, and my father's the only one so far that won it 3 times. And David Pearson and myself is the only ones that have a chance right now of being the second one to run it 3 times.
Richard Petty is one of the toughest drivers for running on the tracks today. He's good on the short tracks, dirt tracks, super speedways. He's one of the tops.
Well, I would say that David Pearson is probably one of the best Grand National drivers we have. He's won enough races on all kinds of tracks.
The Speedway is a question mark. It has been remodeled into the fastest 1-mile circuit in the world, but during practice, several drivers have crashed, most of them in turn 2. The effect on tires of 500 blistering miles remains an unknown factor, but the tire companies are mounting 20 right-side tires and 10 left-side tires for the faster cars, and they are offering no guarantees. Yarborough is among those who crashed during qualifying, yet even in his backup car, he sets a world's record for the mile oval. He remains the man to beat.
I've never been a loser in automobile racing since I first started. The main objective that I had, regardless of what kind of racing I was doing, was to win. And wanting to beat the other guy is just the biggest thing imaginable in your mind.
Starting in 7th position in a 1969 Ford from Randleman, North Carolina, car number 43, Richard Petty. Starting in the 2nd row, in 4th position, car number 17, a young man who is the reigning Grand National Champion, driving a 69 Ford from Spartanburg, North Carolina, David Pearson. All race car drivers tune and in their cars immediately, please. All race car drivers tune and in their cars immediately, please. With the roll of the 40 of the greatest race cars in the world, driven by 40 of the world's great drivers, this is the 12 o'clock noon start of the 5th annual edition of the American 500 here at the beautiful North Carolina Motor Speedway track. Here he comes in the deep part of the 4th turn now. Johnny Bruno Jr. standing by there. He looks to feel almost guilty. And there goes the green flag, and it's the start of the American 500. Uncharted, solid dynamite, from the pole position. Leads the back as he works his way through the second turn. Down the left stretch now. Charlie towards it all.
Petty and Pearson are running 7th and 9th, watching each other and both watching the rough pavement on turn 2. With the leaders turning laps of 137 miles an hour, how long will their tires take the punishment? The answer comes on lap 20.
On the Daytona 500 charger number 22, Mike Savelli by one of the cars as it came down off the back. And this doesn't look good. Phil Yarborough pitting, as is Leroy Yarborough, Richard Petty, David Pearson, Bobby Ozzie. And they must be having some tremendous tire wear out there for these top drivers to come in for a change this early. David Pearson, Richard Petty down the pit road. Tremendous tire wear on this track in the early part of this race.
Cale Yarborough is leading now, but Leroy is pressing. Then Leroy makes his move. He is the leader on lap 62.
As they battle the automobiles into the third turn. Yarborough hit that wall there on turn. Yarborough coming in from pit stop on Toledo Talladega number 98.
Damaged the right side of the car quite extensively, and immediately the Junior Johnson crew just jumped right in there and straightened the sheet metal out and got some new tires back on it and got me able to run again, and I don't think I lost but maybe one lap.
100 miles into the race, the Dodges of Bobby Isaac and Buddy Baker are running 1-2, but Richard and David have begun their charge. Now there is no holding back, no watching each other. Now they are flat out. By lap 110, they are running 1-2 for the championship. Petty has left a wheel and tire embedded in the wall of turn 2. As the Petty crew works frantically to straighten the twisted sheet metal, David Pearson moves into the lead. But the impact was too great. The repairs will not hold. Pearson leads now. He no longer must beat Petty. Now he must beat the track. Allison has the wind knocked out of him, but is unhurt. In an hour, he will return to the pits as a spectator. On lap 168, Cale Yarborough is leading. It becomes a matter of survival now. James Hilton, Bobby Isaac, Bobby Johns and Buddy Young, Charlie Glatzbach. Now David Pearson and Leroy Yarborough, the leading money winners of the '69 season, have at each other. With Petty out, Pearson doesn't need to win this race to remain champion. But as long as the race is there to be won, he will try to win it.
David wanted to win the race, and I wanted to win the race. And the way that we go about doing this, I guess, is just run one another hard enough to break. It was pretty evident we weren't going to slow down regardless of what we got on our pit boards and all.
Now Leroy Yarborough comes to the inside of David Pearson. He tried to get around him. They've got some traffic in the first turn. He goes back Indian file. Leroy Yarborough and David Pearson side by side, looking for the lead, and Leroy Yarborough is going to have it, it looks like.
But Pearson's engine has developed a misfire. It is over. Yarborough takes the checkered flag. Pearson is second on 7 cylinders. 17 of 40 cars finish the race.
Your winner, ladies and gentlemen, Leroy Yarborough, for a sensational 7 wins this year on the Super Speedway.
And if you watch some of these people, Danny Ungaius in particular runs a car, and it looks as though the car is out of control for 1,320 feet. But he runs that thing faster than anybody else has been able to run a funny car this year.
The American Hot Rod Association Spring Nationals at Bristol, Tennessee brings together 51,000 fans for whom the greatest sight in the world is a blown funny car or AA fueler going through the lights with everything wound out tight. During 1969, the quickest funny car in the business is driven by Danny Ungaius. His Mustang is built and maintained by the legendary Mickey Thompson. The heart of this torpedo is a Ford 427 cubic inch single overhead cam V8. Supercharged and burning nitromethane fuel, the engine develops 1,500 horsepower. Ungaius' funny car record is 6.96 seconds and 207 miles an hour for the quarter mile.
It's been an unreal season for us. We've won over 90% of the races that we participated in, and won out of the 12 national events that we were very interested in. We've won 11 of the 12 so far. Well, I think it takes three main things. It takes a very good piece of equipment. When I say equipment, that's the chassis, engine, mechanical features. It takes an excellent mechanic, and it takes a good driver. When you spin the tires, it lays rubber in the ground, and we usually try and back right over the same marks. And the combination of the traction compound and a rubber laying on the ground will usually drop you about 1/1500ths of a second if you can stay right on the same marks.
By late afternoon, drag racing's process of elimination has weeded out all but Ungaius and Leonard Hughes. 1/100th of a second separates their best times. Now they will face each other for the funny car title.
You figure that the normal reaction time for a person is about 1/1500ths of a second. It takes about another 1/10 of a second to get the tires all wound up and the drive shaft all wound up and everything. So you're working with 2/2500ths of a second. And if you can split the difference between a light going on and off, it takes a 1/2 a second for the light to go on and off, and it takes you 2/2500ths of a second to get moving. It's all something that's laid out before you, and you leave when the light's halfway off. I don't think there's anything magic, but it's really anticipation. Time comes to leave. You leave.
When the time came for Danny Ungaius to leave, he left. And he left in time to take the AHRA Spring Nationals funny car title with him.
I made a prediction one time that a drag racing car would run 150 miles an hour in a quarter of a mile. Some of the famous magazine writers at that time poked fun at me. And I actually believe that we will see someday a 5-second quarter of a mile run and over 300 miles an hour.